Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. I wasn't actually sure what I was gonna do for today's video. I was kind of struggling a little bit, tried a couple different things and was thinking, well, that's just not jiving. So today's painting, I was like, I'm just gonna paint some leaves and maybe have a little tutorial. And it turned out to be roughly 10 minutes. The video itself is gonna be a little longer than 10 minutes, but for the most part, the tutorial was 10 minutes. So I have this little leaf painting here, just gonna be kind of very quick step-by-step tutorial, but since it was around 10 minutes, I'm including it in my 10-minute watercolor series, which normally I use a reference image and try and paint something that looks somewhat like the image within 10-minute time frame. But today, this is just out of my head, so it's a bit stylized, but I'm gonna talk you through my process step by step. So if you wanna follow along, you are welcome to do that. Before I actually get into the video, I did wanna mention my website. It is CoreyFrankCreates.com. It's the best way to get in touch with me. You can also sign up for my weekly email newsletter there. And when you sign up, you get my free no-brainer watercolor supplies buying guide. It's just a single page PDF with links to products I would recommend based on a few different budget points. So that can be really helpful when you feel overwhelmed about what supplies to get. I make some recommendations there. You can also check out my online art shop as well as my online courses. I have a set of watercolor courses that take you through really in-depth material step by step. So when you're ready to get a more comprehensive sort of dive into watercolors, would love for you to go check those out. Sorry, I just got distracted. I'm dog sitting this week and Sweet Chili just like put her nose like right on my hip. It was adorable. So anyway, apologies for the distraction. So yes, that is all. My website, CoreyFrankCreates.com. Would love for you to go check it out. All right, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this tutorial. Okay, I'm going to use my size 12 round brush. I do recommend using a round brush if you're going to be painting leaves. Sometimes a dagger brush works as well, but today I'm using a round brush, and I do want one that's a pretty decent size so that I get a lot of the bristles, but it still comes to the fine point. So I have my water jar over here up out of the frame. So I'm wetting my brush, and then I'm going to go into my sap green here. And I got a lot of pigment on there. You can see how the point is not as pointy anymore. So I want to blot some excess pigment off and reshape it so that it does come to that fine point again. So I'm going to do that a couple times. And then when I'm ready, I'm just going to start here, stay right on my tip. And I realize you probably can't see that super well, so I'll come at it from this direction. Go. Maybe come at it this way. Trying to stay right on the tip. That is the one thing about using a larger round brush, is that if you press a little too hard, it gets a little thicker, but that's okay. I'm gonna have a leaf up at that point. So if you feel more comfortable starting with a smaller brush to paint the stem and then switching to your larger one, that works fine. Okay, I do want quite a bit of water in my brush now at this point for the leaves. So I'm just gonna, I have a lot of pigment in there, and then I'm just gonna kind of press here. Doing a couple strokes, and then I'm gonna fill it in. And I'm just gonna do this a couple times, and I kind of like having a little bit of kind of a irregular wave in the leaf. I think it makes it look a little more natural. So those kind of two outer edge strokes is what I'm focusing on, and then I can fill it in. And when you run out of pigment, you can always go back for more. I think I'm gonna do one more leaf on this side. Oh, yep, I need more pigment. This side. Fill it in. I'm sorry if you hear noise in the background. I'm dog sitting. And Mr. Rafiki is a little vocal sometimes, so he's letting me know he's there, and he's letting you know he's there as well. So, all right, now I do want to go ahead and put a leaf on the tip here. So I'm doing a bit of a kind of pressing out. Same on the other side, and then as I move away from me, I get closer to the tip of the brush, and then I can really fill it in. Now, the best way, if you want to experiment with two tones, like more than one color, I would recommend maybe having a second brush ready. So I probably should have done that. Let's see, what do I have on hand? We'll try this. So normally I would just use another round brush, but this one was uncapped. So let's say I want to add some like yellow in there. I'm gonna go into my cadmium yellow and just dot in a couple spots where it's still wet. That wet into wet technique is perfect for just kind of blending and having little flares of color. Almost makes it look like the leaves are kind of dappled and starting to turn yellow, which is perfect for this time of year since we are officially in fall now. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, and I think I may do it the opposite way just to show you can do both. So let's see, maybe start on the tip. And now I'm gonna kind of press out and back in. I think I'm a little more comfortable with the other way of starting at the base of the leaf rather than starting at the tip. But I did want to show you both ways, just because it can be a little awkward, especially. So I'm gonna do it this way, and my hand will obviously be blocking a bit of what I'm doing. So I wanted to show you the other way, just so you could get an idea. And actually, I'm okay with sometimes there being a couple irregularities where the brush maybe lifts off the surface of the paper and makes it seem like maybe there's a bit of like a bug that took a bite out of that leaf, maybe. So that don't feel bad if you try this and you have some kind of uneven edges. That just sort of adds to the natural organic quality of it. Okay, I'm gonna do this one final leaf. And I'm trying to stick to like fairly minimal strokes, but every once in a while, like this curve over on this side got a little too drastic, so I went back and filled it in. Here we go. I am gonna go back in like I did on this side. We're gonna add a little bit of that cadmium yellow in here. Just dot it in a couple spots. Definitely use more on this leaf too. This was a super dark leaf, so maybe I'll a little bit of water. Just dot some water on there. Here we go. Fairly simple. Not doing anything too strenuous. All right, now I definitely want to connect these leaves to that stem ultimately. So kind of like I did back at the beginning, I have thicker pigment on there and I've blotted the excess water out of the brush. I'm trying to get it on pure white. There you go. Now you can see the tip of that brush. And so this is a nice kind of exercise in control, trying to keep the tip of your brush very dainty, I guess. And there we go. So, not too shabby. We've got that. Now, if you wanted, you could let your leaves totally dry and then potentially go in with a detail brush to maybe add some lines. Or I kind of like sometimes doing this. So actually this is a slanted flat brush, can be pretty decent for this as well. I want it to be either mostly dry or dry. This is a little too wet, so I'm just gonna go right on here, right on the tip, and see how it just kind of, with a clean damp brush that has most of the moisture out of it, it adds a really nice line. May have to wet it a couple times just to start lifting that paint. So you can see on this leaf, I'm taking a little more time, especially where that paint really dried. So if you want, you can get a little more detailed with it, add those veins of the leaf in there. And again, that just adds a little more kind of realism, a little bit more of a realistic quality to the painting. So, alrighty. Oh, and all right. Sorry, I got distracted. I saw something moving out of the corner of my eye, and I was thinking, oh, what's that? And it's a spider. That's great. So, I like using a flat brush for some of these lifting techniques because they come to this parallel line here. Now, I got a little impatient with this one. It was maybe still a little too damp, and I pressed a little too hard so the line isn't as thin as on these ones. But for the most part, if you really squeeze the excess water out, you can see how, let's see, how can I get this at a good angle? You can see how it comes to a nice fine line right there. So that really helps you kind of achieve those thin lines. You could also use a really small round brush, a detail round brush. I just think this makes it slightly easier. Let's see. Will this work? Oh, yeah. Yeah, this one's still a little too wet. Let's go ahead and spread some of that paint around. Go. This one also might be a little too wet still. Okay, try this way. Okay, not too bad, but you can see where I got into those more wet parts where the water just kind of wants to go right back where it was because it's still so damp. So you may have to go over it a couple times. Let's see if I can get this one. There we go, not too bad. Again, you can always go back, rinse your brush, and then blot the excess moisture out on a towel or a paper towel, and then just kind of keep going. So again, if you want, I mean, we could just go to town with it. We could continue to create more veins if we wanted to, and just spend all day on it. But for now, I feel like that looks pretty good. We've got decent looking leaves. They're not 100% realistic. I did not look at any reference image for this. This is just kind of out of my head. So have fun playing with it, getting different shapes and styles. Honestly, between all the leaves, these two are my least favorite because they look a little too, not perfect, but a little too teardrop shaped. My favorites are these ones where this one where they have some irregularities and imperfections in them. That looks a lot more organic. So feel free to just kind of play with it, let the brush do what it will, let the paint go where it will, and then you can always kind of fix some of the edges where you need to. So that's pretty simple, and of course I really enjoy just adding a little bit of whimsy to my pieces, even one as simple as this. So I'm just gonna take some paint. Love flicking paint. I know it's not everybody's to everybody's taste. That's totally fine if you want to just keep it clean and simple as far as like that pure white background and no droplets. I totally understand. I just like adding that, round it out, and I will go ahead and add a little signature on here. Normally I like using a little bit more of a detail brush, but again, it's good practice to work with a larger round brush and see how fine of a line you can still paint while, oh, sorry, I just jumped again. There's that spider. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to take care of that. Alrighty, so finished my signature. There you have it. And yeah, have fun painting your own leaves and experimenting with different colors. You know, for fall, you could add browns, you could add oranges and reds. And I think that would look really, really fun. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that and found it helpful. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. Until my next one, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. God bless, and I will see you soon. Such a good girl. Such a good girl.